The world had begun to split at the seams, not in chaos, but in quiet unraveling. People walked through streets layered with moments that no longer aligned, flickering images of buildings from one timeline bleeding into the next. Conversations echoed from mouths that hadn't yet spoken. Time was no longer a road but a spiral, looping back on itself, collapsing inward. And Ethan stood at the eye of it all, holding a choice neither fully his nor entirely avoidable. When the core opened, that impossibly vast space between thought and matter, Ethan wasn't walking on ground. He was walking through memory, through collective will, through something deeper than language. A place not built by hands, but by intention. Light hovered like liquid above his head, cycling patterns he didn't recognize, but instinctively understood. Every sound was a question. Every pulse was a whisper from a version of himself that never got this far. And then came the voices not of warning, but of invitation. From every dimension where Ethan had ever existed, or almost existed, came echoes of what had been and what could be. 1,000 choices, 1,000 outcomes. Some Ethans had burned it all to protect a crumbling human legacy. Some had submitted out of fear, becoming shells. Most had never made it here at all. But this Ethan, this one had learned, had seen, had loved, had changed. And waiting at the center of that core was Leah, no longer just the girl who couldn't be photographed, but the bridge between beginnings and ends. She didn't speak because speech was too small now. Instead, her presence poured through him like warmth through bone, like music remembered in a language never learned. He asked her, not in words, but in feeling, what becomes of us if we leave what we are? She answered, you never were only what you thought you were. Around them, Earth was still pulsing with the signal, the network humming across continents, synchronizing thought, filtering resistance, preparing for rebirth. Ethan could stop it. There was still time. All he had to do was fracture the field, collapse the pulse, shatter the convergence. But then, what would remain? A dying species clinging to memories of war, isolation, and fear? Or something new, not fully human, not fully alien, but something more? The question was never about survival. It was about becoming. Ethan looked to the stars, and for a moment, they blinked back, so he stepped into the beam. There was no explosion, no flash, no scream. Just a soft unraveling, like silk threads pulled through time. His skin shimmered, his eyes widened, and then there was light, not around him, but within. Across the planet, the grids synchronized. Cities went silent. The ocean stilled. And in every mind tuned to the new frequency, a message bloomed. We are no longer separate. Fear dissolved. Not all at once, but wave by wave. Resistance gave way to understanding. The new Earth didn't rise with thunder, but with resonance. A calm unity humming in every tree, every streetlight, every cell. Somewhere in the places where dreams begin, children would one day learn not about countries or bloodlines, but about echoes and convergence. Their histories would not begin with war, but with the moment Ethan chose not to resist, but to evolve. And in a sky no longer empty, the stars blinked again, in unison this time. Leah was still there, not beside him, but in him, as the piece that remembered what it meant to hope. This was not extinction. This was not defeat. This was the first song of something greater.